shit.
Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of how to use a transcription. In this episode we will tackle rhythm.
The first thing we're going to check out are cross rhythms. There's a very nice example in a Scott Henderson solo on Fee-Fi Fo Fum. The song is played in a regular swing feel, so you have automatically that triplet subdivision, and that lends itself very nicely to play a 3/2 over it. So that's already something you can try when you play a shuffle or a swing tune, to play 3/2 or 3/4.
In one of Chick Corea's solos, he uses a 4/3 cross rhythm, and he uses one lick and he puts this one into the cross rhythm, and the whole band jumps on, and it creates a really cool effect within the band.
So if you can get your band to play with you, it's even better. There's also a more melodic way to approach this, and that's by using accents in your melodic lines. And we can find a very nice example of that in both a Michael Brecker solo and a Pat Metheny solo, where they both play accents implying groups of 5.
And by the way, Michael Brecker was also part of a group we all know, Steps Ahead, and they have a tune where they also use this 5 cross rhythm. They use it in the background. The Peter Erskine keeps on playing this dun 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 dun. And it's just the melodies in 4, so that's also nice. You can also use rhythmic patterns or rhythmic hooks, like we discussed before in one of our earlier tutorials, one on Paul Desmond, and Paul Desmond is also the master of these rhythmic hooks. So let's take a look at a certain rhythm he uses quite sometimes in this solo. For this hook he always starts on the second triplet. He uses this on a few spots. This creates really a nice storyline and nice chapters for your own story, kind of.
Besides Paul Desmond, there aren't really that many examples of anyone really using these rhythmical patterns. I did find one other example, and that's by Tim Miller.
So our contemplation is a bit that we discussed this a lot, is that rhythm is a quite underused way of improvising and also of practicing. So it all starts with practicing, of course. And maybe it is because that when we start to improvise, we start off with blues mostly and bebop in general. So that's a lot of 8 notes playing, and maybe it's because of that, I don't know. That's just us contemplating and thinking about music and improvising, and we might be absolutely wrong or incorrect. So you can inform us if we do. We would be grateful for that and provide us with some kind of evidence or why you think that is. But leave your thoughts also in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think about that. Sometimes you can also just like a certain rhythm in a line. And there's one in the not published solo of Brandon Fields. We do have more solos than we publish, and you can find them on our Patreon, so check that out if you're interested. On this solo of Brandon Fields, he plays this 16th line and then he interrupts it, and that's something I like very much. So take a listen. So that's something you could do also, just playing 16th note lines and then using a syncopation, and not using the exact same notes, of course, just using that rhythm.
And no video on rhythm is complete without Wayne Krantz. He's pretty unknown actually, but not really unknown. Wayne Krantz is another one of those kings and masters of rhythm, and his solo on Whippersnapper here on the channel is a perfect example of that. The thing Jorre says about Brandon Fields and that syncopation in that line, it's almost the complete solo is all the second and fourth 16th notes and all upstrokes, and it's just incredible how tight and insane that sounds, really.
The cannonball of the guitar.
Yeah. My former guitar teacher actually studied with Wayne Krantz, I think, for about a year. And the thing he let us practice from day one was all upstrokes. Forget about the notes, just put on a drum loop or something and just chug away at those upstrokes.
Yeah, I remember also Dean Brown having a workshop somewhere we were, and he was amazing rhythmically. Never seen anything like that before. He just let us see what he did with all the rhythms, and he was like a drummer on guitar for real. I also remember one of Dean Brown's solos with the Brecker Brothers, early 90s. I think it's somewhere here on YouTube. I think on Song for Barry. Check that out, that's insane playing. And the next way you can use rhythm is in a slightly different way than we now so far talked about. In a more conceptual way of using rhythm as a tool, there is Bob Minzer in his Blue Train solo with the GRP All-Star Big Band, and I like that so much about the solo, is that he starts off with forcing the rhythm section into double time. I'll do this from memory, but he uses a rhythm like something like this, and it's so moving forward that Dave Weckl has to respond with going double time, and it feels so nice. So you could also try this on, like, of course the tempo has to be a bit slower to do this, and you could try this exact rhythm, or take it more as an abstract concept, and what I see there is that it's the syncopation that makes it moving towards something faster. So like da 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 da, that pushes really forward. So try that also. Try to, when playing a slow tune or a medium tempo, try to force your rhythm section in an inevitable double time.
This next one is a little harder to find in improvised solos and can be found more in composition. There is one transcription on the channel by Tiran where you have that flirting with either 5 feel or a 16th note feel. And that's one example of that. I know another example by Vital Information where they play a blues, and the theme is actually the rhythmic modulation of the actual tempo, and they play the actual tempo when they go into the solos. So it creates some nice little confusing things. This is also something I like to fool around with my own compositions and have some fun with.
And finally I came up with something I think needs a lot of attention, but I really didn't know how to call this part. So
miscellaneous.
Yeah, so it became Miscellaneous Rhythm, and that's a special topic for all Cuban players, because I've been playing lately a lot with some Cuban players and just Latin players, real Latin players, and their rhythmic information is completely different than we in the West think about rhythm. There's one solo I transcribed from Paquito de Rivera, and he plays on this amazing tune by Michel Camilo, Caribe. He plays an amazing solo, and you might have noticed if you saw the solo, I did quite some special things to just simulate the rhythm in the best way possible, but anyway, it's not really possible to get it notated the right way. So you have to listen to it to comprehend it, and then even for us, I think it's a cultural thing, it's difficult to grab. So for example, listen to this line first. So what you hear here is, I don't know. They play incredibly between what we call rhythmic notation, and it's all more in between. It's more in a sense, the West thinks more binary in divisions of 2, and over there they use a lot more of triplet-ish feeling. It's all more in between. And I got a few weeks ago the luck to play with the same trumpet player Paquito plays with on this transcription, Michael Mossman, and this solo is something that helps me a lot to grab the feel and be able to catch up with these Latin dudes. It was an amazing session, by the way. There will be a gig vlog coming soon about that. Yeah, just working with those Cuban musicians is something different. And so to finish, just a little example of how you could use also rhythmic things out of compositions that you like. For example, I like this one song from Jeff Lorber where he has this section where he plays, that's a 4/3 rhythm, and it's a kind of 2/5 chain. It sounds anyway a bit freaky because it's a constant structure in terms of chords. It's all 2/5 chain. With minor chords. So he has this 4/3 cross rhythm, but it doesn't really fit into 2 bars, so he has to make one little weird turn, and yeah, you could easily take the wrong turn and have a different feel where the one is. I also took this concept, also the constant structure thing, which I liked, but I used it more with sus chords, and then I asked the guys to also just go a bit with the flow and use this illusion, rhythmical illusion, and that's the part that Timothy gets to solo over. So
that's the part where I get to die.
So let's finish off with a bit of rhythmic illusion for you. So hope to see you in the next part where we will dive into harmony.